Yes, sir.
Tama lang nila. Wala yung search function. Ayun, ayun ko. Sige, liwat ko. So, operating systems and software. We have these objectives naman. We have to learn to distinguish software and hardware, mga application, software, and system software. We also categorize the 3 categories of system programs, operating systems used for microcomputers, and how we describe the network operating systems. So a few vocabulary naman ng words naman natin that we should be familiarized after this, or this list. Mga BIOS, basic input-output system, the GUI, the graphical user interface. Also some terms of the Linux, the Mac OS, the network operating system or NOS, and the MS-DOS term. And I also have this OS na terms, the system software, the Unix, Windows embedded or Windows mobile, and the utility program. So we go again with the definition of the two. The physical and tangible computer equipment that can be seen and touched. So that is our hardware. And the software is the set of instructions issued by the computer to do that specific task and perform it as an output for the system unit. So again, for the basic types of software, the application and system software. So for productivity software designed for end users, such as the MS Word, these are the application software. And for the system software, it is used to control the resources and operations of a computer system and include operating OS na to ng utilities and language translators. So a part of an operating system, it provides the interface between the user and the application program and the computer hardware. So how the computer hardware could not function by itself without an operating system that will provide the instructions within the end user, and using an application program to give out the instruction for the computer hardware to process. So ang Windows nato ng best example of an operating system, as well as mayroon mga Linux, or kung sa aton nga mobile phones, we have iOS or the the app.
Android, sir.
Yes. Ano ta?
Why, sir? Why, sir? Ang ba ko, sir, Android.
Tama na. Unahan mo lang ko. Android system na. That is muna sa aton yung mobile. So amo nga aton interface. So if you can visualize it, no, may user kita, then may hardware sa other side. So how do our users communicate through using the input, So we use application softwares which will then go through the operating system that will instruct our microprocessor naton yung mga computer hardwares to perform and to produce this output. So if given dere ang microprocessor chip represents the processing step of our information processing cycle, and the hard disk is for the storage, and the printer is for the output. So for example, if we use MS Word for the application software, we print out, type in sa aton yung mga article or aton yung mga research, then we instruct the OS to print out the output for us to get that printed output. So we give out instruction through the MS Word. So the OS din amo na mag-send out sa kumbaga sa ila nga language, sa ila computer level na language that will instruct the chip, the microprocessor to process that command and then use the hard disk to store that document and use the printer to print out that desired output niya in paper. So we also need the utility programs to help kumbaga we have the housekeeping chores in our computer system. So these functions usually have this as formatting a disk, makaping a file, backing up the hard drive, and consolidating fragment files. So usually these utility programs are included din sa aton nga operating system, operating software naton. Ara na siya under sa systems nga folder wherein may mga specific da nga mga gagmay lang nga programs used for specific tasks like pareho sa disk format, mga fragmenting, mga file fragmenter nga mga software. So these are called as your utility programs. So we also use language translators, so English-like language into machine language that the computer can understand. So our basic naton, for example, is the Visual Basic programming. No? So we use Visual Basic is more of a GUI type of programming. So ang statement yung input sina is being translated by these language translators into a machine language in order for them to perform and execute those commands. So mostly all of our computers have operating systems, of course, and the user interfaces nila are these two types, command line and graphical interface. So ang DOS gina naton commonly used nga command line naton nga type of OS user interface naton. These are used also for microcomputers and a combination of DOS and versions and a standalone version of Windows. So pilian lang usually when we talk about what operating systems that our microcomputers uses. So mano naton nga one of the three of the popular nga OS naton. So early computers used command line interface. So kung if you would visualize sa una itong lecture no may dako-dako to sila nga machine sa early stage pa lang sa computer. How they would command that hardware nga para mag execute sang sang ilang instruction is through that command line only interface. So you as to how you would execute those command, you must type in the exact command that you want to execute. So amo ning IBM PC ginato ning first gini nga nag-ubra sini sang amo ning interface wherein they call it as the DOS or the disk operating system. Ang your drawback lang only is you can only run one program at a time, and the good thing is up to now it is still accessible sa aton yung kanang version sa Windows naton. So given that you can also use the GUI no sumo no mga graphic user interface na ganyan user mas hapos siya, mas interactive lagi siya gamiton, you can still go with the option of using DOS for command line functions man. Pero pwede naman try po kung sa ako naguro is also not necessary yun unless we want a specific na command line nga i-execute yun natin through DOS. But then kung may graphical naman ka naman nga version, you won't need that command line interface naman. So amo ni mag-figure out naman itsura niya. So pareho ni sa amo ni Microsoft Windows 2006 ka version. Version 6.06 ng Windows version nila, but if you type in the command amo ning specific sa mga location niya ang C, that is your C hard drive, and then under this folder the user and Dolores ang sa user nila. If you use this command, mga specific na command, ang the first command is to ang cd dot na is to put go up the directory, one directory up. So kita mo next niya nga command is wala nang Dolores nga folder, but that command went up diri sa under na sa users nga folder. Then he used the ping to ping out the doloreswells.com nga website. So usually ang man nato ginagamit kung if we would check the connection nato, no. For example, kung kita mo do vision na yung internet, you could go to the command prompt and the ping, example, be ping tang Google, ping google.com or ping yahoo.com, and then if depende na sa output nga magawa. So if amo ning example nato ng output sini is may ano na siya, may connection na ni. Okay, ga-reply na siya. If you ping it with amo ning data, may reply siya nga amo ning bytes time and amo ning TTL nga information. So once mo reply ni sina, which means nga ang connection mo sa amo ning website is stable or online siya. So amo ning example naton sa command line interface using the ping command. So sa GUI naman amo gining pinaka-benefit din naton of having a graphical user interface sa aton nga computers. Kaya naging nakapos na gid sila nga gamiton by using the the programs are symbolized by icons. So we use these icons to represent files, disks, and programs. So you would only use mouse to click on these icons and execute these commands. So makita gid naton nga ako nga improvement with the introduction of this graphical user interface sa aton nga computer systems nga magapapos gid sa aton nga paggamit sila ka Cobra. So may example na ito, no, may wala naman subong. So Mac OS naman, it was a different operating system sa aton nga Macintosh nga nag-develop sini. 1984 yun siya nag-originate. So nag-originate, nagwa siya first yun sa is with may GUI na siya nga iya. But then Microsoft also introduced its own version no, sa Windows na 1993. But the Windows 95 version was the first true multitasking operating system. Kumbaga sa initial na release nila, it was mostly unstable gid. But then subong nag-ano gid siya. Nag-improve ni siya with the Windows 95 nga version of the operating system sa Microsoft. So mani Windows 98 naman nagwa naman sa June 1998. So it also introduced the integrated web browsing na. So among nga time nagawa naman tong ilang web ang browser naton, web browsing feature, and active this up with the browser like interface. Though ang Vista naman dayon nagawa after sina may mga functions naman nga introduce nila. So subong ata Windows ano na subong Windows 11, may Windows 11 na no.
Sir.
May nagagamit sa inyo Windows 11. Wala pa man. Do last ko nga pagabaldo na siya do under pa siya sa testing stage pa, pero ang mga naka-install na sa Windows 10 they can check to try that version naman kung gusto nila. Okay, so visual no, start button, power button, clicking the start menu or turning off no. So dito naton sa start button nga GUI interface. Umani sa sleep, restart, and hibernate, makita naman natin dara. And familiar naman ito sa. So we now go with the embedded operating system. These are the type of system that includes the technology and tools that would enable the developers broad range of devices na ilang applications. This operating system, which resides on a ROM chip, is used in small handheld computers. So it was developed initially as pareho din sa mga PDAs nato no. Wireless communication devices which later on developed na gid sa aton nga mga smartphones, mga palm top, mga ang mga graphics naton nga mga drawing input devices. They also use this specific nga mga embedded nga operating systems. So the term naman sa Unix, ang Unix nga mga OS is for gid for science gid and programming specific for specific ila function, and was originally developed sa ang AT&T. It was considered as multitasking, portable siya, and can also almost run on any hardware platform. And nag-develop na siya later on sang language pareho ni sa IBM na AIX kag Linux. So Linux is the computer OS under what was developed from the Unix. Linux is mostly may language man siyang iya, and also I think may command interface man sa functionality. So kaya nabuting the starting of a computer. So when you start your computer, among OS commands are loaded into memory. So as the operating system loads or boots, so pag start siya na sila ma-open, makita nyo ng loading screen, no, ang Windows. Example sa Windows, mago ang isa kang logo sa Windows, tapos may loading nga may bar or line na nga ma-load siya. So that is your operating system that is loading into the memory and into the random the random access memory niya sa inyong computer. So as you turn on your computer, so basing on the Windows OS, input-output system is activated among isang BIOS. So when turn on first yun na mostly kina-skip na nila, or they are not shown sa mga end user. But if you go through on sa mga old nga mga PC, kung paano sila mga old nga Windows, kung paano sila mag boot up, na makita nyo na may kakuha na command nyo. For example, press F12 or F10 for BIOS input. So if you go there, kung magtumbok siya na, makadto na siya sa settings sa BIOS mo. I-hold yan na ang booting apps ng ibang computer, but makita mo na dayon dira ang mga settings nga gusto mo nga islan or i-set up naman as you reset the computer naman sa iyang bag-o nga sa settings nga gusto mo, tapos ma-restart na siya for that setting applied naman dayon. So it will go for searching for amoning sa record, no, the second step, tapos ma-load na sa dayon sa RAM. So this file contains the programming configuration instructions na for hardware devices and other software applications that are installed in your computer. So once the load ng software drivers, pag-load siya na, it will not be able to use your printer among mga modem. These are examples. Then the graphic user interface naman na next nga ma-load. So makita nyo na after ma-load ang OS nga window, makita automatically makita nyo ng login screen or amo na ng graphical user interface niya na sang inyong system nga software. The operating system reads the commands from your desktop na amo na dayon, and then it will go to the desktop configuration and the programs in your startup menu. The startup folder maning siya ang pwede nyo ma-set sa sa general settings ng sa computer nyo, or pwede nyo na ma-search using sa search function. So if you click on the startup folder, makita nyo na ang tabs or may list na sila sa mga programs nga garan sa startup during the startup of your computer. So you can also check or uncheck kung ano gusto nyo nga kuhaon, or ano ang program nga disable nyo during the startup as your graphical user interface sa inyong system software is loaded. So if everything goes as it should, kung wala error, so magawa na dayon ang inyong GUI and the computer is ready to use. Usually it will go with the login screen, or kung wala ka login screen, madiretso na sa boot sa inyo nga sa desktop nyo. Now for sharing the files sa different OS, so with the basic function of the necessity, so necessary siya ibutang sa sharing files across operating system platforms. So we use hardware file share solution as the emulation card, and loading it to the motherboard that gives the OS the ability to run programs for another OS. Ang term na to na is we remote different operating systems from another computer. So another solution is to save these files in a format that is readable across systems. So we use the text extension of these files to save them, tapos magamit na sila dayon sa other operating systems. So for the network operating system, amo ni siya ga-reside sa network server. So as kung recall nyo kagina, no, ang nodes, mga clients na group of computers or nodes, nga ga-connect sila sa isa ka server, or we call it the network server. So the network OS resides in that server, so it allows the client computers to be connected and to share resources. So as you transfer files to another computer within that network, you go through the NOS or use the NOS to command those clients to share their resources to another client computer. So the main goal of this operating system is to make the resources appear as though they are running from the client computer. So these are remotely accessed and processed from the network server. So to summarize, hardware is physical, software is the set of instructions, and these are also called as programs. And the two basic computer softwares, no, system application, and also known for the application software as your productivity softwares. So system software coordinates, controls the system for resources and operation of your computer system. And again, for the categories of the system software, the OS, the utilities, and the language transistors. So interfacing between the OS is used for between the user and its application program and the computer hardware. Utility programs are your programs that help users complete specialized tasks such as file management, and translator for language, for English like into machine language, and programming language as a way to write up program statements for the computer to execute. So all of our computers have operating systems, and the user interface is the part of the OS wherein we are most familiar with. Okay, the function kung how we communicate with the OS and through the hardware nga para maka-execute pa sa aton command nga gusto by using this user interface. Command line and graphical user interfaces. That's to where we post our instructions through the computer. So recall naman sa mga DOS and Mac, ano ni sila. Post Mac OS is the manang ilang subong nga pagyapon subong ginagamit nila Mac OS naton. And the DOS introduced by IBM PC 1981, ang character-based operating system, and was later on became the Windows naton. And the first multitasking OS is the Windows 95. So embedded systems naman are scaled down OS for handheld, and Unix and Linux OS are for the portable versions of our operating systems. It allows networking, no, network operating systems two or more microcomputers connected to function, and several methods also of sharing files can be used on these different operating systems. So that's wrap up for that topic. Any questions regarding those how we operate our OS?
None, sir.
None, sir.
Okay, but so ano na siya, medyo several terms man lang to silang iban, but we'll go with we'll just check on ano gid sa mga Windows ang kita guro maka-focus gid for for given our application lagi no kung aton nga how we practical sa aton yung mga end user as we use these programs. So we use the Windows operating system gid as our main OS gid. So mostly we'll just focus on that function na lang kay sa mga Mac na medyo lain naman nila nga style for they are also using graphical user interface naman for their end users. Motor break ko na